through space.
Ooh.
Got lost there for a second.
Man, the check cleared. We good. We good. We good. Check cleared.
Look, let me tell you, don't. I am very much triggered at cleared and checks right now.
Oh my bad. I forgot.
I'm like,
checks. What you mean, check what?
Right. Right. Put the check cleared in bad. Put it in bad.
What my bank statement? Where is it?
It's fine.
Hey,
well,
that's why we're live on Twitch. Huh?
Right.
We're live on Twitch. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show.
Ooh, that's why we're here. Yes. That's why. But yes, y'all. Anywho, welcome everybody. Hi, friends.
Hello.
We're back for another episode. Another one. 4.
Yes.
4.
Strong.
I can't wait till we get to 6. That's my favorite number. That's why.
8
for you.
8 gonna be the best episode. I'm bringing straight heat.
I'm scared.
All day.
Because he broke me before we started. Well, y'all already know the story. He breaks me every each time. So I know he'll have something special planned for the 8th episode. I know it. I know it's coming.
Yup. Some special trash coming for that one. Special trash is coming. I don't know who the hosts, who gonna be here, but they in for it.
Oh, we got subscribers coming in. Thank you, Byron. Hot balls. Oh, this made me happy when I see it. But yes. Welcome again to Say That Again podcast, friends. We are here. I got a different background, as you see. I'm trying to make it look nice and pretty and presentable, because apparently I stream in my basement.
Well, you always be saying, okay, give people you be like, go upstairs. You always say go upstairs when they come. Go down. They don't know where you at.
They just know I'm here in apparently in the basement.
They don't see the windows. It was when you was cleaning, they seen the windows.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, oh, she's not a hermit. They actually, because they think it's like 5 of y'all in like a 2-bedroom house with a basement that floods. So they don't know.
Just a season for it to flood.
You got Mr. Boggs saying hi, Mr. Patrick. Yeah, Mr. Patrick, that's right.
Yeah, I like that. Right.
Y'all see that? Y'all put the respect on that man.
Nice to meet you.
But yes, welcome everybody. Yes, indeed. We have the crew, as you always see here. It's a sign, Miss Hickey 313. At the bottom here, you have my buddy ZiggyTheBeast, and then on this way on the opposite side, a bit of fun, and then right here, you the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Patrick. Yes. Thank you, friend.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me. Absolutely.
Hey, we could not be here. We could not have you after meeting you at PAX, which was great, phenomenal.
Absolutely.
You were literally a one-man army because you played every man. So yeah. It's
and a couple of women.
Well, hey man, he does it all. He does it all. So it was kind of like natural once everything got set up that we had to have you come in and speak to the people about all the good things you do, because you do a lot more than as the card behind Zig says, you're multi-talented and a wealth of information, so it is a pleasure to have you here.
Ziggy's old bending over. I'm sorry, but
when you just do multiple things, you just jack of all trades. We didn't even list everything he does right here. This is just all we could fit.
Yes, we couldn't.
We're like,
we wouldn't leave it for
So So before we get it from hear it from Mr. Patrick, I'll read a little bit through some of his intro and some of his bio. So for those that do not know, Mr. Patrick is the founder and editor-in-chief of ReviewFix.com, and he's also a lecturer of English and the assistant director of journalism program at Kingsborough
I'm
Community
actually
College.
the director now. I got promoted.
Money being made around here.
We lift our hands in the sanctuary.
Hey, so you're not talking to the director of journalism at Kingsborough Community College in Brooklyn, New York. Hey, can we get some dubs in the chat for Mr. Pat? We
need that.
We can't just skip over that. Can we get some W's in the chat for Mr. Patrick Hickey Jr.?
Yes,
this man is the director.
How many directors you know?
How many directors you know?
Right.
How many directors you know right now? Speak on it.
Hey, appreciate that. Hey, appreciate that, man. And also definitely congrats on that.
Thank you very much.
That's a huge accomplishment, and look to seeing a little bit more of that in the future. What you got, 8-bit?
If you are in the Brooklyn area and you need a job as janitorial at the community college, put in a good word. We say, yo, look, Patrick, it's me from the. It was me, Kush Lord 39 in the podcast, bro. Just look. Come on, man. I just need this mop and sweep, bro. Just hit me up. Give me a chance, boss.
Terrible.
Over the past decade, his video game coverage has been featured in national ad campaigns and covered by national, bro.
Worldwide.
And coverage by Nintendo, Disney, the New York Times, and EA Sports. And he has appeared in outlets like New York Daily News, NBC News, The Examiner, Old School Gamer Magazine, and of course his own website, ReviewFix.com. So y'all make sure to go check that out as well.
Nintendo got me. That's because Nintendo don't like nobody.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought it would have been EA.
New York Times had me.
Right.
like you know,
Jeez.
EA
Nintendo?
Sports.
All the accolades. And it's just
I would
some
say for a
of
couple of
many
years,
more.
Nintendo liked me for a couple of years. They really did. For a period, I was the most read video game reviewer on Examiner.com. They were a really big video game website for a couple of years, and then they just I know, me too. But so like in the span of like a month, it was like UFC 2, Mario Maker, like all of these. I got to review all of these big games, and I was on back of boxes and on promo posters and GameStop and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, baby. So it was just like, so it was good. That was a nice that was a nice little run. Yeah, Examiner was great. That's
huge. Yeah.
NBC though was probably like that was my biggest jam. Like 3 Super Bowls, presidential election, 2 Olympics. I covered Whitney Houston's death. I covered the Trayvon Martin murder case. I covered. I interviewed Paul Walker 2 weeks before he passed away, for NBC. I did a ton of big stuff for NBC. So that was, that all that stuff is like super important in like my my legacy. So yeah.
I mean, we just skirted over Disney. Just Disney.
Yeah. That mouse knows what
Disney?
he's done.
That was oh man. When Disney Infinity was like a thing.
Yeah.
I was getting
the first amiibos.
It was insane. So Pinky, it was like every week I'd get a box with like 5 new Disney Infinity figures. And they were like, oh, just play with them. And I'm like, I don't have to write about them. And they're like, just play with them. So then what I started doing was I was writing short reviews of like each figure, like, its abilities and like da-da-da-da. And I was getting a ton of traffic. So then it was just like for the entire Disney Infinity 1, 2, and 3 lifespan. So we're talking like 4 years. I got every single figure sent to me from Disney. It was amazing. So it was so much fun. So
Pinky, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Pinky.
We just talked. Oh Lord, look at the host.
It's like a Godzilla movie right now. It's like Godzilla.
No.
And then come through.
Yeah, it was wild. So I still have all of those figures. They're like all in my
That's actually pretty cool.
It's pretty wild, yeah. So that's the Disney influence of my whole writing career and stuff like that.
That's dope. Because I was saying, I know those figures are hard to find. Like a lot of people are saying,
impossible.
Right.
Yeah, I have like all of them. And my kids are just like throwing them around and shit, like they don't care. But like, I'm like, don't throw them.
What are you doing?
Yes.
Like Anakin's like missing a lightsaber, and I'm like,
damn it.
Have you seen the room? Have you seen my room? Which also, segue, you are by far one of my favorite retro video game posters on Instagram.
thank you.
Like,
Thank
you
Yeah.
are by far, and I'm a big retro person.
Yeah.
So you by far have a great collection, first of all, but the information and the trivia stuff you be doing is great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You are appreciated, and yeah, definitely a good follow. So if y'all like
Yeah.
retro games, to second and piggyback on what 8-Bit said, give this man a follow. I know
Mhm.
Bridge is gonna work her magic. She's gonna put his information right there. Appreciate it, Bridge. Make sure to follow Patrick on all his social media platforms. He's very active on his Instagram. I want to say,
Mhm.
if it's okay if I say, I want to say Instagram's probably your main platform, maybe, or
Yeah,
at least
yeah,
most
I just-
active.
Yeah, I just enjoy Instagram. It's just a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Like Twitter is like kind of dangerous sometimes. People are like
Yeah.
very rah. And
Yeah.
it's just like I feel like Instagram people are like in a little bit more of a good mood. So I'd rather
Yeah.
Yeah,
work with the
I agree.
positive energy.
Mhm.
Definitely, definitely.
Definitely. So yeah, definitely check out Pat on
Thank
Instagram
you.
because he has a lot of material, like 8-Bit said.
Mhm.
So we touched on a little bit of just really a little bit of your journalism and your author stuff. We didn't even talk about voice acting yet. So
Mhm.
for once again, he's a voice actor. So what's some of the voice, like, I guess would be a good question, 8-Bit. I'm gonna pass it on to you. Like, what kind of voice actor are you? Like, what would we ask Mr. Patrick in terms of voice acting?
Probably just outside of, like, what are your favorite, what roles have you done that you appreciated, or what was your first role, things like that. That would probably be more of the questions that people would want to hear, because they're like, hurry it up. Your intro
So
suck.
funny. I one of the questions I get asked all the time is how do I get into voice acting? Like the person will go, how do I get in? And
Yeah.
it's just like the way that I got in, no one else will ever get into the voice acting industry. Like I guarantee you. So what happened was I just finished my first book, The Minds Behind the Games, Interviews with Cult and Classic Video Game Developers. And basically what I do there is I interview video game developers and they tell me about their games. It's a lot of fun. Each chapter is like dedicated to one game. So every book you get like 35, 40 games. And I just tell like the VH1 like behind the music of like each game.
I love that.
That's
It's a lot of
actually
fun.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was after I finished the first book, I went back to like, I never stopped, but like I kept writing for ReviewFix because it's my site, I own it, and I love to find indie games that like no one's writing about, like I love to be the first person to like interview somebody.
Yeah.
So I come across this like super dark looking like Minecrafty kind of game, and it's called The Padre, and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool. So I messaged the developer. I'm like, oh, I'd love to interview you for ReviewFix, blah blah blah. So we do an interview. And they're from Bulgaria, so their English like isn't that great. So I had to clean it up a lot, and I post it. It gets really good traffic. Like 2 weeks later, they go to me, "Do you want to play the demo?" I'm just like, "Sure." So I start playing the demo, and I notice like a ton of like grammatical errors in the text. So I'm like, guys, listen, this game is like narrative heavy. You need to make sure that there's like no typos in the entire game. And they're like, "Well, do you want to fix it?" And I'm like, "Well, do you want to pay me?" And they're like,
Right.
and they're like, sure. So we come to like an agreement on a price and stuff like that. And it was awesome. I like edited the entire game in like a day, and then they're like, refresh your Steam. So I refreshed my Steam, and all the edits were in. So I'm like, okay. So they pay me. Then like 2 weeks later, they message me again. And they're like, do you want to do it again? We got more lines. And I'm like, sure. I'm like, but I need credit in the game too. I'm like, this is like,
Yeah.
like now,
So-
Mhm.
yeah. So now I'm like officially like the dialogue narration editor, which was awesome. So now I'm playing the game every day. They're sending me new builds. I'm editing as we go along. It's a lot of fun. I'm like officially like a member of the team now.
Oh,
That's
okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
So now they're getting ready to go to Kickstarter, and they're
Mhm.
like, "We need you to edit the entire Kickstarter." And I'm like, "Man, that's mad pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of." So I'm like, "No, I'll do it."
Mhm.
I'm like, "I'll do it. I'm ready. This is awesome. I believe in you guys." It's
Right.
like think of like it reminded me of like if Minecraft had a baby with like the original Resident Evil.
Oh. Wait
So
a minute.
Okay.
Imagine you're a Catholic priest stuck in this mansion that's like infested with zombies and stuff. It's really cool.
Okay.
And it's
Indie
on
game.
Xbox. It's on Xbox. It's on PlayStation 4. It's on Nintendo Switch and stuff like that. But that's the end of the story. So what happens is now we're like 2 days away from like the Kickstarter launching,
Mhm.
and they're like, imagine the Count from Sesame Street. You know, they're like, "Oh, we're fucked. We're fucked." You know, because they're from Bulgaria. You know, and I'm like, "What's the matter?" And they're like, "Oh, the voice actor left." Like the main voice actor of the game. And the thing is, like, I read through every line of dialogue in this game, and I'm just like, I never liked the guy's voice. He sounded like Russell Brand.
Okay.
It's like, you know, Pinky. It's like, wow, you know,
Okay.
like walking down, you know, it's like, wow. And it doesn't. Imagine a priest being stuck in like a scary mansion.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit.
It don't.
like-
No.
Like, just every time like the cutscenes would come on in the game, I would like cringe. You know.
Yeah.
That's not
like,
good.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's bad. It's not bad. It's bad. You know.
So if you felt
But-
that way, then people that played it, there's a high chance that they will feel the same way.
It's
Exactly.
trash.
So-
I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. I want my
So,
money
like,
back.
What are we gonna do? And I'm like,
Mhm.
let me audition. So they're like, okay. So then I'm like, I'm not going to imitate this guy. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm not doing that. I'm like, but they like the English accent. So I'm like, I've always been good at that, like movie trailer voice, like,
In a world, one man, one tortilla, rated PG-13.
you know. And I'm like, but I can't do that because imagine like an entire game with that character, you'd laugh your ass off the entire time, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, well, what if I add like some of that English to like the baritone? So I came across this
Hello, Pinky. My name is Alexander, and I am the Padre. Hello, you know, and just talking like this, a very
good,
dark,
yeah.
raspy
Yeah.
voice. And
they were like, can you do the whole game like right now? And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So then I did it, and then they're like, refresh your Steam. And I refreshed the Steam, and I'm like watching the first cutscene, and I'm like,
This is it.
I felt like I wanted to play the Jeffersons music and then just like run around my house. You know? Like I'm like,
no.
you
Right.
know,
Finally got a piece of the
So-
pie.
oh,
Right.
so I love you guys. You guys are right. So what ended up happening though was we didn't get funded on Kickstarter, and that was like
Oh.
that sucked. But what ended up
Yeah.
happening was we built up so much positive, and this is like what I'm talking about. Like when I met you guys, it's like we
Mhm.
built up social currency because like I looked at you guys and what you were doing, and I'm like, you guys are doing great things. I want to be involved. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So what happened was we built up so much social currency that we ended up getting picked up by Feardemic, and they published the game on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, Steam, and we did a sequel too, the Padre One Shell Straight to Hell, which came out last year. So
Mhm.
the first 2 games that I was ever in, I was the star of, you know.
Okay.
So and then after that, I didn't want to be a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
So I started really like just lobbying. I would go
Mhm.
all over the place, like on Discord and on Twitter, and I would find games that didn't have anyone to do like their trailers
Mhm.
or, you know, ancillary characters and stuff. And I would just be like, yeah, let me do it. And then what happened was I've been working with the Mega Cat guys for probably like 8 years on and off. I've been reviewing their games, and I talk to them. They're great. They're in a couple of my books. So then when the CEO of MegaCat came to me and he was like, you do voiceover? I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
And then he was just like, oh, and he gave me like a little job here, a little job there. And then he was just like, oh,
Mhm.
we got this wrestling game. And at first it was like all of like the side characters.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, well, what can you do these guys? And then all of a sudden it's just like, you know what, just take it, just do, you know. And that's been so much fun. Also, I'm in World Championship Boxing Manager 2. That's coming out soon for Nintendo Switch and Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and BPM Boy just came out on Atari VCS.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And
New
Yep.
release? What? Hold on, y'all didn't talk about that new release, fam.
It just came out last week. And the thing is, so the developer of BPM Boy is one of my favorite developers of all time. His name is Tony Barnes. And he is one of Tony's amazing. He's one of the co-creators of Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike, Soviet Strike, Nuclear Strike, Strider, Medal of Honor, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Star Wars Episode 3 on Xbox. Like, he's a rock star. So he's in like 3 of my books, and we talk like, like every day. And when he was like, that he had the BPM Boy is like a love letter to like Marble Madness and Super Monkey Ball. It's so much fun.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I'm the villain in that game, that's like another like check off my list. Like I get to play like the villain,
Yeah.
So that game just came out last week, and I was watching a video the other day, and this guy is like, "This is the best original game on the Atari VCS," and I'm like, yes, so
Okay.
so yeah, that's kind of, I got into voice acting because I'm a writer.
That's so dope.
Like, it's so weird, and it'll like, it's very rare for somebody to like get in the way that I did. So
Yeah.
that, and just by being ultra annoying, just I mean, I did voiceover for this Kickstarter campaign, this game called Relentless Rex, and it's this really cute like side scrolling, like, you basically play this little dinosaur that's running from a big dinosaur, and that's the game. It's super cute. But I was watching the guy on Twitter, and he was basically like, he wants these voice actors, and these are all voice actors that would have cost him like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like the guy that does Shredder for Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, or like Daryl from The Office. I'm like, dude, listen, I love these guys too, but you ain't paying for them.
Nah.
So then I was just like, let me show you what I can do. And then he's like, I feel bad, like if you auditioned and you didn't get it. I'm like, listen, I want you to tell me no. I want to be in a situation where you tell me no, because being in a situation where you tell me no is better than being in a situation where you don't tell me anything.
Exactly.
So just give me a shot, and I read, and he was like, yeah, you're great. And I got it. So it's just like, but it was like, I must have spoke to this guy for hours. He's just like, I would just feel bad, and I don't know, and you're nice, and I don't want to hurt your feelings. But I'm like,
you ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
You don't know me.
Just don't waste my time.
Right.
Just let me read. And I read, and I got it, and it's so funny because like their Kickstarter page is still up. They were a successfully funded Kickstarter, and I do the whole trailer. It's ridiculous. So it's like, it's some of my best voiceover. So that's how I broke in. The Padre is still like a sentimental role to me because it was like my first big role, but like, oh my god, the writing in WrestleQuest is so good. Like, you guys met Zach, one of the writers, and it's so good. So just being a part of a game that's like actually this good is super important to me. And being able to do the voice of like one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, the Macho Man Randy Savage, is super important. And the cool thing about WrestleQuest is like, it has like, I'm reading lines, which is one of my favorite things to do, but then there's micro voice acting, which is like grunts, and then there's macro voice acting where it's a little bit more. So just like, it's a nice showcase of my ability. So it's like when you first start the game and you hear the announcer, it's like, the next match is set for one fall. Like, that's me. So it's just like, I'm reading.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm talking to myself in the game. Like, I'm playing both, like the character on the left and the character on the right and the character behind him. So it's so much fun. And like, that team, that's a really special team of guys. So it's an incredibly hardworking group of guys. So I'm super happy to be, a part of that.
So you could kind of say you're the Eddie Murphy of voice acting, because I mean, Eddie Murphy did in Nutty Professor. He was
everybody,
everybody
except Janet Jackson.
Everybody except you could do that. That's pretty cool, man. That's a hell of an accomplishment. Not everyone can say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So with WrestleQuest, and playing it at PAX, what was the kind of general consensus of everyone at PAX that got to play it, and some people that played the demo? We know it was good, but just kind of go through some of the things that people were saying about WrestleQuest. And a
lot of the people that weren't into wrestling were kind of digging the struggle of the main character, Randy Muchacho Man Santos. Like that, he started out from like nothing, and then he was like, I'm like, listen, think of like every classic Japanese RPG. Like think of Ash from Pokemon. Like, he just wakes up one day and his mom's like, bitch, get out of the house, go talk to this old man.
Go talk to your dad.
I don't know where Dad went. Where's Dad? You never
It's Professor Oak?
Dad.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, is it Professor Oak? Yeah.
it's Mr. Mime.
Right.
Take I love you guys. You know, but it's like every RPG starts off that way, you know, and it's just like, so if you love RPGs, you're gonna love WrestleQuest, and then the thing is, if you love wrestling, you're gonna eventually be pulled into the allure of the RPG, you know. So that was like kind of like we were getting people that loved RPGs but didn't like wrestling, and then they were brought in by the battle system and the pinning system and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun to watch. You know, so the general consensus was that it was a lot of fun, but they wanted to see more, and I think that's important. The demo was done like that on purpose because, you know, like we wanted people to just get, you know, to just get a taste into like
little appetizer.
We wanted it to be like a great first date, you know, and I feel like that's how it went, you know, like, because you guys ever been on a bad first date where like the woman or man tells you like their entire life story and you're like, yeah, there are never going to be another date. So I'm happy you're getting this off your chest because like I can tell you don't
I'll
talk to
never
anybody.
see you again.
You know?
I will never see you again.
But there are video game demos that are like that where you're just like, this is everything.
There's movie trailers like that.
There's movie trailers like that too where you're just like,
oh, that was it. Okay,
right.
That was from the final fight. That was
Wasn't he dead?
Right.
So again, to mention like Pokemon, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but like when Pokemon first came out, like the trailers gave some people seizures, and I'm just like, yo, that's like the best marketing tool ever. You got sick, you couldn't even watch the whole thing. You had to go to the hospital. When you come back from the hospital, you want to watch the rest of the trailer.
Exactly.
So it's just like,
it's not me. It wasn't me.
I feel like the demo did a really good job of introducing people to the story, the characters, the battle system, and stuff. Like there was not one bad comment, which was great. Awesome. And then the thing is too, Ninja Turtles got a ton of love at that PAX.
Well, the line was out the window.
It almost killed me.
Yeah, it did. It almost killed Pinky. The disinfectant they used.
Oh my god!
Pinky started breaking out.
It was bad.
Yeah.
What was Jeffrey Dahmer using it before?
Matter of fact, this was after we left from your station.
It was. It really was.
It was right after we left your station.
Oh man, that I have to say. Like we were disinfecting like our stuff like every like 5 minutes, you know.
Oh yeah.
Hey, man.
So, but away from Ninja Turtles, I mean, I feel like we got like one of the best receptions. We knew Ninja Turtles was gonna get a huge reception, but like for us to like even be in like that top like 3 or 5 meant a lot, you know.
Didn't y'all win an award?
Yeah. Side questing.
I saw some Steam awards they had.
Yeah. So that was super important too, you know. So it's just like, you know, for a voice actor, it's important because it's like you want more people to hear your work, you know. And this is a game that has over 50 playable hours, so you're gonna hear a lot of my work. So I'm super excited for this game to come out. Like when it was in Game Informer like 3 weeks ago. So like when I went to GameStop, I was like, yo, give me this month's issue of Game Informer, and I took it out and I held it. I'm like almost there, because that's like my next thing. Like I want to go to GameStop and just hold the game that I did voiceover on, because like I'm on like the Nintendo eShop, I'm on the PlayStation eShop, I'm on the Microsoft Store, Steam. You have a physical, you know. Physical is so important still.
Laminated.
Yep. Like I have over like 4,000 video games in my man cave. Like I love physical media. So it's just like I need me as a physical copy of one of my games one day, you know. So it's gonna happen.
Definitely.
Speaking of physical copies, they had like retro cartridges of the games. Were those real or were those fake?
So this is funny. This is a great story. I don't know why I'm telling you this with my pinky. I apologize.
Hey man, no, it's fine. It's king stuff. It's the king.
Yeah.
It's the king stuff. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
The way I met Megacat was, so like I'm a video game historian. I've written 7 books on video game history. My books are in Harvard, Yale, Stanford, UCLA, Berkeley, University of Shanghai. Like I'm all over the place. But I love retro games. And the way I met Megacat was, and they still do to this day, they develop new games for the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Sega Genesis, and they produce physical cards for these games that you can play on your old console. So that's how I originally met them. So like for example, like they have a game called Creepy Brawlers that's basically like Punch Out, but with like all like Halloween characters like Frankenstein and werewolves and stuff, like little Medusa. I just did a trailer for Ronio's Tale, which is like this really cute puzzle game for NES that they have coming out. So just like I love what those guys do. So in addition to like WrestleQuest, and they did Coffee Crisis, which is a side-scrolling beat 'em up on Steam and Xbox.
Coffee Crisis?
Coffee Crisis. So it's imagine Double Dragon with coffee.
I love me some coffee.
All right.
I hate coffee, but just to beat up
Double
coffee
Dragon,
stuff,
though.
yeah, you had me at Double Dragons.
I'm about to say Double
Had me at
Dragon.
Double Dragons.
So this is the thing. 8-bit. It was originally developed for the Genesis. I have a copy of the Genesis version. I play it all the time, but it's also on Nintendo Switch. It's on Xbox One, so you could download it digitally, or you can buy the physical copy and play it on your Sega Genesis. So
See, I gotta fix this. I gotta fix
So,
that Genesis. I gotta fix. I gotta order that board.
I interviewed Zach, the writer of WrestleQuest, for Coffee Crisis for my second book. So it was just like I said, the relationship between Mega Cat and me goes back, and so it's been a lot of fun to be on both sides, like interviewing developers and then actually like being in my own way, voice actor or writer, because I've done writing on some games too. So like it's a lot. It's been so much fun.
That's dope.
It's been great.
Yeah.
And last thing on WrestleQuest before we switch to another topic is one thing I like, and 8-bit likes as well this way, is the parody. I love parody. I love a good parody.
Yes,
Like
yes.
the names was like
For legal reasons, we understand, but definitely we're spot on with those.
That is all.
I love it. I crack.
That is all Zach Manco. Zach Manco is one of the best writers in indie games today. He doesn't get any love. He's great. So like if you've played like again Coffee Crisis, Lethal Wedding on Genesis, like he's coming out in a big way in the next couple of years between WrestleQuest and like some of the other stuff Mega Cat's doing. Like he is a super talented writer. So
that's gonna be pretty awesome. Did y'all have anything else y'all want to touch on with WrestleQuest before we move on to his books?
I'm mad because I wanted to play, but it was so many people playing it. So,
it was popular.
Yeah,
Pinky, I barely got to play it too.
Yeah,
I barely got to play it.
We got in.
I got
early. We got in early.
We got in.
Jared told that man get up. He went, yeah, y'all got to get up.
Jared tapped him on the shoulder.
You been here too long, dog. I got 2 fresh meat coming in, dog. You gotta go.
Hey man, shout out to Jeff. He did do that. I forgot about that. Hey,
awesome.
Slap Nuts, get up. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We do have a slideshow that we're gonna play a little bit, so some of you in the audience can kind of see what was going on. So this was when we met the legend himself over at PAX. This was Jeff Jarrett.
He was so mean to 8-bit.
I
swear that man did not like me. He did not like me at all. It was the crown. I'm pretty sure it triggered something deep in him, like
And this will be what we'll be touching on next is Pat's books, and these are the covers of the books that he's written throughout the years.
Because I'm grabbing at least 3 of them. I was like, yeah, I need this for my research.
I gotta share a link then. Ooh.
Oh yeah, we support over here, so yeah, definitely drop the link and we got you.
I'll drop the link in the Twitch for everybody.
Okay.
Wait,
yeah, the
I also too I have to tell you guys that like when people buy books directly from me instead of from my publisher or Amazon, I always leave awesome stuff in there. So like I had somebody like 3 weeks ago that was like they never played Madden before. And I was like, you never played like the original Madden? And they're like, no. So I ended up going to like a retro video game store. It was like $8, and I just put it in like with their book because I'm just like, they ordered the minds behind sports games, but they never played the original Madden before. I'm just like, I have to fix this. This like has to happen, you know. So
okay, Tecmo Bowl or Madden?
Woo.
There we go.
Right.
That is super hard. So I'm gonna go Madden just because like I've reached out to like some of the Tecmo team to speak to them for books. And
I respect.
it was like I felt like Patrick Swayze in Ghost. It was like they didn't give me no love. But like the EA people, like I have interviewed like pretty much bigger than a handful of the founding fathers of Electronic Arts. Like they have been beyond forthcoming with me. Like just, I mean, I got told a story about the creation of the original Madden that like after they told me the story, I'm literally like on the train. This is like before COVID. Like I'm on the train going home and I was like shaking because I was like, nobody else knows this story. Like this is insane, you know? And it's just like I remember messaging Michael Brook. He's like the he was the assistant producer on the original Madden, on the original NHL. Like the guy's a rock star. And I was like, are you gonna get in trouble for telling me that story? And he's like, oh, Trip Hawkins, the CEO, the former CEO of Electronic Arts. He's like, he told it once in a magazine, but he's like, it's not online anywhere. He's like, no one else has it. He's like, it's gonna like you use it for your book. And I'm like, yo, you know. So nobody from Tecmo did that for me, but people from like Atari, people from Electronic Arts, Sony has been great to me. Sega has been amazing to me. Like my new book that's coming out like in 2 weeks, The Minds Behind Sega Genesis games. It wouldn't have happened without like a PR guy, Jacob Nanin from Sega. And like he got me Riko Kadama, who's like one of the most important female video game developers of all time. Like she did the port of Altered Beast on the Sega Genesis, and she's also like she did most of the writing on like Phantasy Star 2 and 3 and stuff. She's amazing. And he was just like, I'm like, dude,
that was my
like, classics.
Altered Beast was the game.
I'm like, I need
from
her.
Your grave.
Rise from your grave. You know, I'm like, I need her. And they're like, well, you know, she's getting older and she's battling some health stuff. I'm like, listen, I will send her questions in email. Like, I'm like, I will get someone to translate the Japanese to English. I was like, I just need her. I need to throw like 20 questions at her. Oh, we'll make it as easy as possible for her. And like 3 weeks go by, and I'm like, yo, and it's one of my favorite chapters in the upcoming book. So
that's
it's
awesome.
like,
yeah.
So, but so yeah, the long-winded answer to your question, like I have a soft spot for people that support me, and those people that support me, I will go to the ends of the earth and I will support them as much as I possibly can. So like EA, those founding fathers of Electronic Arts, those founding fathers of Atari, like David Crane, Howard Scott Warshaw and stuff, they have helped me a tremendous amount. So like I have their back. So I love Tecmo. I will play their games like for life. Like but it's not the same type of relationship, you know?
I understand that. You have your favorites.
That's so dope. I like that. Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't help but respect it. You know, you support those who show you the same respect.
Tecmo Bowl is awesome. I love playing Tecmo Bowl. But like with Madden, I feel like the running game in the original Maddens is so much better. Like I don't like to run the bowl in Tecmo unless I have like Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I would rather pass the ball in Tecmo than run the ball. Madden, I mean, the playbook and the passing windows were just it revolutionized everything, you know. So it just changed the whole game for me.
Okay.
Oh, y'all got it cool. Yeah.
So wait, hold on, just
no. You got
to
it.
clear up. So Patrick, is it your first name, last name, junior.com books? Because it's I'm having issues with it. I just wanted to see if anybody.
Oh, I might have sent you the wrong. Hold on one second. I might have.
I just want to make sure you get your sales, big dog.
No. Yeah, I'm on the page right now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to reroute the page too. So this way it just goes to like, if you go to patrickhickeyjr.com or if you go to books, it goes to the same spot. So there you go. That's it.
Okay.
That should work. There you go.
Okay.
So I just sent it to you guys in there to Miss Bridge.
There we go. Yeah. Don't
Gotta
use that
give
other
her-
one.
Gotta give her some love.
Right.
See the review site. You can go to the review site, Review Fix, just to see it, but go buy it from this site.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you go to reviewfix.com and you go to books by Patrick Hickey Jr., it'll take you, like, if you buy it from there, it's the same. It's like,
So it's
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
all in house, right?
All right.
yeah, it goes all in house. So
All right.
it'll go right to me, and my wife will be like, "Get rid of these books." I'm like, "Okay."
And you get the comic book on there. Got the comic book list
Yep.
on now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got the comics on there now too, and but then that was when I was at Legacy. When I was at Lesser Known, but now I'm at Legacy. I started my own comic book company in November. Lesser Known kind of gave me my start, and that was a lot of fun. And we published 4 issues with them. But my wife says it to me all the time. She's like, "You've got to either be like the boss, or you have to be in a position of power, because like you're not that you're hard to work with, but you're very much like, this is how things need to be done. And if you start to get pissed off, then you don't want to be there anymore." And I'm like, no, that's true. Because it's like every place that I've ever been at, I've started off, like every newspaper and every website that I've ever worked at, I started as like a staff writer, and by the time I left, I was an editor. You know, so it's just like, if I don't have any, if I feel like I don't have anything to work towards, or if I feel like that I'm getting content, then I don't want to be there anymore. You know.
Yeah.
You a little
it was
over
just
it.
like,
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
need
so
to be
it was just like,
challenged.
absolutely. So like at Lesser Known, after we did like Conjury 3, I was kind of like, where's this going? You know? And I didn't like the answer that I got. So it was like, it was a business move, you know? And I just went to my buddy that was like around the corner from me, that's this great artist. And I was just like, dude, let's start our own comic book company. And we had no followers on Instagram, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. And we sat down, we drafted up a business plan, and then we went live and said we're starting a comic book company. And 2 days later, we went to Kickstarter, and in 3.5 hours, we were funded.
Dope.
It was wild, you know. And that was in November, and now we're getting ready to put out our second batch of books, and that's been so much fun, because it's like all the minds behind the games books are incredibly selfless. It's like there have been times, like, it's hot in my kitchen now. I am like literally like. You know, but like there were times like I mean I interviewed Howard Scott Warshaw. He's the creator of Yar's Revenge and E.T. on the Atari 2600. I basically interviewed him in this room in my kitchen. It was probably like 20 degrees warmer for like 3 hours. So just like every interview for the book is like one of those experiences where you're just letting someone tell you everything so you can get enough information to tell a captivating story. It's incredibly selfless. When you write fiction, it's like, and now you get to be selfish. It's a completely different experience, you know? It's just like, you're just sitting down, you're like, oh, what's this character's name? Why am I going to name this character this? Why am I going to do this? How is this going to tie in? Like, it's like a completely different muscle. And it's so much fun. And it's like, I would never like want to pick between the two, because I love journalism, but I feel like fiction writing is a lot harder, you know? So I like the challenge. And doing like Conjury and The Job has been like so much fun. So it's just like, if you really like old school comics like Daredevil, The Punisher, Spawn, like you'll definitely.
Oh yeah, Spawn, yeah.
The Punisher, say less.
You know, you'll definitely love Conjury. And then like, I mean, The Job, you guys like wrestling. I mean, The Job is basically, to give you guys like a short synopsis, The Job is about a jobber. It's about a professional wrestler that loses like every single match.
All the time.
Yeah.
And what happens is though, but he has like the nicest gear, and his valet is like Miss Elizabeth. She's beautiful, and they have a beautiful car, and everyone's all like, "How the fuck? Like, how is this?
You lose.
Like, you lose every match. Why do you? First off, why do you look so good? Why do you care so much? Like, where do you get the money for all of this stuff?" And he's like, "Because I rob banks." And they're like, "What? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, he does rob banks, and his beautiful valet is his getaway driver. And they're married, and this is like their American dream. They can't make enough money wrestling, but that's what they love to do. So they have to rob banks to pay for their professional wrestling habit.
Yeah.
And it's a ton of fun. And it's like every time he robs a bank, he's wearing a different lucha mask.
Okay.
So it's just like there's so much fun in the story. So it's just like if you like movies like Ocean's 11 and like
I do. Yeah.
and you like professional wrestling, it's like a marriage of both of those things. It's like there's a little like My Cousin Vinny in there, you know, because the female in the story, Beverly, is just like, she's the brains, you know, like he's like the brawn, and he loves to like super kick people in the face and stuff like that. But she's the smart one. She'll like walk into a bank and be like, yo, we could rob this bank in like 45 seconds. There's an exit here, an exit there, blah, blah. And he'll be like, so I could super kick like 3 people in the face. And she's like, just shut up. 45 seconds. You don't have enough time to super kick anybody. You go there, point the gun at this bitch, take the money, get out. Then we'll
get out.
You know? So just like their relationship is adorable, like the way it works. So between like Condry and The Job, those are like 2. We have like 8 comics, but those are 2 of the 3 of my comics. So much fun. All of our comics, most of them are really gritty. They're based in like New York City and Brooklyn. So if you like gritty crime noir, you'll really dig our stuff. But it's just a lot of fun. And then the thing is too, like I showed you guys before the show, the cover of Sarita. And Sarita is like Condry, the main character in Condry. Like his, basically like his Obi-Wan in a way. You know, like she looks out for him. She's like the old lady in the neighborhood that if she like tells your mother that you did something wrong, she not only can get you a beating, but she can give you a beating and not get in trouble for it. Like she's that woman. We all know that woman in the neighborhood, you know? So it's just like in my comic, Condry, like Brooklyn and New York City is basically just like ravaged by violence. And like a lot of people have been killed. And our main character, Condry, his dad was a cop and he was killed and stuff like that. But Sarita's husband was also killed. So that's like what kind of like brings these 2 people together. Because she's this small, like tough African-American woman that don't take any shit from anybody. And he's like this 6'9" blonde hair, like white boy. And on the surface, they have like nothing in common, but they're bonded by the fact that they've both lost like key people in their life because of like gang violence. And they see like, wow, if we stick together, we're a lot stronger together than we would be by ourselves. And they decide to like really help each other. And it's really gritty, it's really dark, but it's funny at the same time too, because it's just like she like has this control over him that like people just like don't understand. Because again, if you look at them side by side, it's just like she's like 5'2", 5'3", you know, and he's this monster of a man, and it's like he looks at her for guidance and things like that. So just like I'm really looking forward to people reading Sarita. It comes out in July. You could pre-order it now. It's doing great so far. People are getting really excited for it. But like between the video game books and the comics, I've just had a lot of fun writing, and I feel like that's when I'm like my happiest, you know. So it's just like I've been really happy lately. And then like I said, the voice acting thing I just like kind of fell into, but it's just something I've been making prank phone calls for 30 years. And every person that I know like on a comfortable level is like, how come you don't voice act, you know? And then it's just like when this happened, they were just like, wow, okay, you know. So it's just the last, like I would say the last 5 or 6 years, it really started like right before my daughter was born. Because I just really like looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you're a college professor, you're full-time, you married, you know, you did all the things that you are supposed to do, but you haven't done all of the things that you want to do. So your ass needs to get in gear and start doing some of those things, because if you don't start doing them now, you're not going to be the best father, you know? And I love my dad, but my dad reminds me of like Ralph Cramden from The Honeymooners. Like I could have been this, I could have did that, blah, 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 you know. And it's just like I never ever wanted to do that to my kids, you know. So just like when I pick up my daughter from school and she like brags about me, like, oh, my dad is in a video game, my dad did this, my dad did, and the other father's like, yo, is she bullshitting us? Is she telling the truth? I'm like, no, I'm in a bunch of video games. Like, you own a comic book company?
Google me.
Yeah, I do.
Right, exactly. Google me.
You know, like,
Google me right quick.
Speaking of Google, we need to get whoever on Google to change your profile picture, because you have lost a lot of weight since that picture was taken.
Great surgeon.
Yes.
I have to thank him. That's the honest truth. Oh man. Like I remember, and this is real talk, man. I remember after my daughter was born, I was like close to 400 pounds. And I mean, I still did all the stuff that I do now, but like I was a lot more sweatier about it, you know. Like I would walk up the stairs and be like, shit, god damn. You know, and I went through all of the the medical procedures and stuff like that, like all the testing and stuff, and I had gastric sleeve surgery, and I lost 130 pounds like maybe like 4 years ago, and I've kept it off.
That's good.
So it was one of the best decisions of my life. And you know what it is too? It's just like a lot of men have problems with coming to grips with psychological things and physical things. Like they don't want to admit that they need somebody to talk to, and then they don't want to admit that they're not happy with the way that they look. And I feel like if a lot of men of all shapes, sizes, all of those things, if they just look at themselves in the mirror and say like, what do I have to do to make myself feel better here and feel better here, and if they actually do that, then you open up the door for all the other good things to happen. You know. So because it's a lot of the time, like the first week of the new year, men will be like, oh, I'm gonna start walking now, blah blah blah, and it's just like, bro, do it, you know. So
just do it. Don't wait.
Do it, you know. So I mean, I can't speak for women because I'm not a woman, but like I know a lot of men have like, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm fat. No, but you don't have to be. You know, you can take care of yourself, or like, oh, you know, I got a lot of stuff inside, but then let it out.
Yeah,
you know, like it's okay. And I feel like that's like the key to my success. Like my daughter, my wife getting pregnant with my daughter, and I was just like, I need to like really step up and be the person that I want to be, not just the person that everyone else wants me to be. And like I was a success before, but like I need to do more, you know. So yeah,
definitely understand that.
Long-winded answer, I apologize.
No, man.
No.
No, that's why you're here,
right?
Kids change you.
Yeah, they do. That's the truth. Yeah,
I always tell people when my daughter was born, you know, it was like, oh, that's cool, and the doctor handed her to me. He was like, all right, bye. I was like, oh.
Yep.
That's when this is mine.
That's pretty cool thing you got there, Doc.
Right.
Like, all right, good. Like she's good. She's breathing. Like, all right.
Yep.
All right, we're going to the next room. Bye. I was like,
changes you forever. You know. Oh.
Yeah. Like I saw my body looking around the room. It was a weird. I can't explain. It was like an out of body
experience.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I definitely resonated with that story there.
Yeah, I had 2 of those with my kids. I was like, oh. Yeah, you're the one that's been giving me the heartburn.
Oh, I felt so bad for my wife. Like my first, my daughter was a pretty relatively easy pregnancy for her, but my son, it was like she had a rhino in her stomach. Like he was a nasty bastard the entire, you know.
It's them boys, some hard-headed boys.
I'm telling you, I felt like so many times just like putting my face next to my wife's stomach. I'm like, get the fuck out, leave her alone,
leave her alone,
leave my wife alone. You know. But then when he came out, like, oh, my son is too much. He's a pisser. He's so funny. Oh, he's such a character. You know. So just like, oh. I could not, like, I have conversations with my friends sometimes and they'll be like, doesn't it suck that you can't go out whenever you want anymore? And I'm just like, no, because if I really want to go out, I just take them with me, you know? And I'm like, if I really want to go to the video game store, if I really like want to go to Popeyes or some shit for like no reason, I'll bring my kids with me. What's the problem? You know? But what kids do is kids help you make the decision of places not to go that you shouldn't go, you know?
Right.
Like, you know, so
true.
It's like people that like, you know, they're getting in like their late 30s, early 40s, and they don't have kids. I would tell them like, yo, do it.
Yeah.
The best.
Hey, don't be putting that pressure on me, dog.
I'm telling you, it's hard. It's hard. You know,
like, you know, there's a formula shortage right now. It
is.
Hold off on that. You know, let's wait for supplies and you know get right.
Oh my god!
Look at Myron. Look at.
Put that pressure. Yes, breastfeed. That's fine.
Hey, you know who's gonna pay for the kid? Who's gonna pay for the kid?
Oh my god, that's great. I love you guys.
Y'all want to put up a goal? You know what?
Yeah, you gonna do a
Patrick, I need to write up a Kickstarter. 8-bits kid, and we good. All right, Myra. I remember that.
Oh, there you go.
I remember that.
Now coming to Kickstarter, 8 bits of fun
right.
as a baby.
Hosted by Macho Man Randy Savage.
Let me tell you something, a bit of fun.
The
when the
son of
fallopian
Macho Man.
tubes get filled.
Explosion.
The madness.
8-bit over there with that hot dogging and grandstanding.
Pasta gazpacho.
You know, since we're talking about Macho,
Bit of fun sperm.
Right.
that was a Patrick knows this. That was my favorite time of Macho. He had enough of Hulk Hogan's shit. He was like, look,
Yes.
man,
He did.
you actually like Elizabeth. You know, like
He
come
was
on, bro.
scary. He was scary, that man. Imagine being in a dark alley with Macho Man. Like, I'm 6'4", I'm 250 pounds. I'd be like, yo, bro, whatever you want. Like, just
Oh yeah.
I love
his
that.
eyes, the fire in his eyes, man.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I've heard stories from wrestlers where they would be like, he would talk about their matches and he would like assign numbers to spots.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you would have to memorize the match
Mm-hmm.
and the numbers before you got to wrestle him. And like he would yell at people like,
Oh, brother, what's 3?
and the guy would be like, oh, deep arm drag. No,
No, stupid, it's a scoop slam.
you know, like he was that, you know. I love that though. I love when people are like that passionate and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that was leading up to WrestleMania 5. He was sick of Hulk Hogan's bullshit.
He was.
Mega powers imploded.
Hulk Hogan
Good
played it
time.
off so beautifully though, because every time Hulk
Yeah.
Hogan would be like, "What? I don't know what I did.
I don't know what I did.
I
I just put my arm, just felt a little bit of cheek, brother. I don't know. Yeah. It was like,
And
Come
it
on.
worked though too, because like Elizabeth was so pure,
just like
you know.
good times. Yeah, y'all
It was
definitely
great.
go check those promos out.
Yeah.
Everybody always talks about the cream of the crop promo, but I like the hot dog and grandstand promo. That was like one of my favorites. was
He has
like,
another one from like Memphis, where he's just talking about staring into the candle for like 2 hours. He's like,
I've been staring into the candle, man, for 2 hours.
and you're just like, what the fuck is he talking about? But it was so good.
You're so intense.
Yeah.
so
So
good.
So that's an kind of follow up on what we've been talking about, Patrick. Like, how do you just have time to do all of this stuff? Voice acting,
Yes.
teaching, you know, being a dad, being a husband, you know, writing books,
Mhm.
Writing comics.
writing
Right.
comics. You know, you have your own website. You do reviews.
Yeah.
You do wrestling reviews. You do book reviews. You do game reviews.
That I have to do
you
after this too. I have to watch Roy after this podcast. So.
Yeah, John Cena. Does John Cena?
He's
walk?
back.
Oh, I
He
appreciate
back.
it.
Right.
20 years of John Cena.
My wife's
is gonna
in
be an
love with
empty
John
ring.
Cena. Every
Look,
time John
John
Cena
Cena.
comes on the TV, I tell my wife, I'm like, one bullet. That's all it would take.
All those
I
muscles.
used to like
All those muscles.
so
One bullet.
much in the beginning, like when he started becoming popular. I used to just say, "He's on the TV."
My wife is like that with Randy Orton.
Oh yeah, Randy too.
Just-
Yeah.
My late mother, whenever Goldberg would come out, I swear, like I thought like my mom was gonna like strip in front of the TV. My dad would be like, change the channel, change the fucking channel. God damn, bitch, control yourself.
Control yourself.
You know what?
Goldberg would come out and be like, "Ugh," and my mom would be like, yo, you know.
I'm gonna have to use that one. Yo, bitch, control yourself.
Control yourself. You know,
I'm gonna have to use that one.
my grandmother used to watch wrestling too, and I always get a kick. Remember Rikishi?
Yeah.
She'd be like,
Oh
look at that-
yeah, Rikishi.
Look at that ass. I'm
Yeah.
like, I know, Grandma. It's just wide. And, you know he wrong. He wrong for that, putting his ass in that boy face like that.
Oh,
Hold on, I got y'all.
I remember that. I
Rikishi,
remember
yeah.
that.
Good time.
Look.
Is Patrick? Yeah, he's right there. He's looking for Patrick. You said you was gonna be watching me on Raw.
Right.
You said one bullet.
You said one bullet.
Right.
Oh my God.
You can't see me. You never know. Attitude.
Right.
Patrick needs an attitude adjustment.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. Oh my God.
But yeah, that's just so. Like, how do you fit all this into like? Do you have a schedule? Does it kind of like? Is it ever flowing? Like, because I'm assuming like I'm assuming you're on summer break with school.
Yeah.
So you're not.
Nah,
teaching
man, he
anymore,
teaches
right?
summer
Oh,
classes,
no.
man.
I teach it.
Oh.
Yeah, I teach summer classes.
So you teach the summer classes. So like,
Yep.
how do
Two.
you do? Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I don't sleep much.
I was about to
I
say
tell-
you probably take naps.
I wish with 2 kids you can't take naps. It's like
Oh,
I tell
no.
people this all the time. Whenever somebody ever tells me they don't have the time for something, I'm like, we're done. I don't want to
Remember-
work with you anymore.
Pinky, how many
You know?
times we said that?
Yep. That's true.
There's no such
Like
thing
if-
as you don't have time because you make time for what you want to make.
What
time
you want to
for.
Yep.
make time for. Yep.
You
So I
said
make
that.
sure I make time for the things that need to be, you know. So
Mhm.
it's just like I have a to-do list.
Okay.
You know, and today it was to teach. It was
Okay.
to set up my classes like for the rest of the week. It was to do the podcast, and we had to go to I had to go to the printer because we're getting like the tablecloth and everything made for the comic book convention we're going to in a couple of
Mhm.
weeks. This podcast. So it's just like I make
Which
sure
we
that like
appreciate.
Monday. Yeah, hell yeah. But it's like Monday, I had like 4 or 5 things that I had to do, and those will have to get checked off the list. And I will not go to bed until they get finished. Like my wife is the same exact way. Like my wife will not go to bed until she gets everything done that she needs to get done. So
Mhm.
it's hard, but
Yeah.
you know what? It's like you get what you get. You know, you get
Yeah.
what you give. You know,
Mhm.
and I'm just, especially being in education, like being I've been a college professor for 16 years. I'm 38, so I've been teaching literally since I got my bachelor's degree. And
Mhm.
I've just always been surrounded by people that are like 20, 25 years older than me that are like, oh, well, I could have did this when I was younger, or I could have did that. And I'm just like, man, I need to make sure that when I'm like in my early 50s that all
Yeah.
of my shit is done.
Yes.
And then this way I could just pick passion projects to do. So it's just like
Mhm.
I'm gonna run a schedule like this until I'm like in my mid 50s,
Mhm.
you know. And then when I'm in my mid 50s, then I'm gonna cherry pick like the best stuff that I want to do,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna just do that until I die, you know. But it's
Yeah.
just like now I'm like, you know, iron to the grindstone as hard as I possibly can, you know.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, you don't know how hard you can work. No one ever does,
Mhm.
you know. So it's just like I love when people go, "Oh, this is the best that I can do." It's not. You don't know what your best is, but you're spending too much time bitching that this is your best instead of just doing more. Do
Just
more.
doing it.
Just doing
do
it.
more. You
Mhm.
know. So and it's just like
Mhm.
I don't try and like wear it as like a trophy, like, oh, I work harder than everybody else. I just do
Yeah.
it because that's the way that I do it.
Right.
I'm sure that there are people
Mhm.
that are more talented than I that don't have to work as hard as I do,
Mhm.
and that's like where I'm trying to get one day.
Get there.
You know,
Mhm.
but the only way you get there is by working your ass off. You know,
Mhm.
so that's basically why I do it. You know, it's just like I want to own a home one day. I want to make sure that my kids don't have to worry about college. Like I had to pay for all of my college by myself. I'm the first person in my family that has never been addicted to drugs or alcohol. I'm the first person
Mhm.
in my family that went to college. So it's just like I'm
Mhm.
Yeah.
basically trying to lay the foundation for my entire family moving
Right.
forward. You know, so it's
Mhm.
hard. It's a lot of pressure, but you know
Oh
what?
yeah. Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility. You
Well,
know,
you're doing
so-
a-
Shout
You're
out
doing a
to
damn
Uncle
good job.
Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I tell you, this just doing all of this, it's a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's been some sleepless nights. It's been some, oh my God, I'm about to snap moments, but I wouldn't trade it.
Going
would
to
trade
bed exhausted and going to bed hungry is a badge of honor because you get to wake up the next day knowing that you did something that's going to lead you to be successful tomorrow, and you're still hungry when you wake up, and then that first meal that you eat, it means
Mhm.
something, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just like I try and simulate that like every day, you
Mhm.
know. I try and go to bed absolutely exhausted, you know, try and just knock everything off of the table, you know. And then the thing is, all of those small victories add up, you know. That's the thing too. Like I've had so many people, I've been on so many podcasts the last like 6 months where people are like, oh, you're so lucky, oh my god. Oh. And it's just like, no, I've been doing this, I'm 38, I've been doing this for 16 years. I've been writing, you
Mhm.
know, I've been writing longer than I've been teaching. You know, I've been writing for newspapers for 18 years. It's like I'm not, you know, but it's like I don't necessarily look 38, you know. So it's just like people like, oh, you're this young guy. It's like, no, like I got scars, man. Like I put in my
Yeah.
time, you know. So
Mhm.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know definitely doing like content creation and also doing I guess for like us in our bubbles, we have sometimes it feels like you can have your hand in a lot of things and you can be pulled, 10 different ways.
Mhm.
So, hearing that you voice act, you write books, you teach, you're doing all this. So it's like Patrick's doing it. He's making it work. So, it's sometimes it could be a time management thing, and then sometimes it seems like it could be some other things, but it seems like
it's definitely time management.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
and my wife is like completely supportive, and she completely gets it. And I make the mistake sometimes of not giving her as much time as she needs for her endeavors, because she's an entrepreneur and stuff too. So she's great at like understanding and stuff like that. But like it's hard. It's a two-way street, and that's I would say it's basically it's time management, and it's a lack of sleep. My wife went to bed later than I did this morning. My wife woke up before me, so it's just like we just set the bar really high for each other, and do the things that we have to do. So
yeah,
you gotta own every second,
Right.
You gotta own every second. It's like I tell a lot of because I'm a college professor, I tell a lot of my students the easiest way to start just changing your mindset: wake up an hour early than you normally do, go to bed an hour later than you normally do, take the bus 2 or 3 stops before you usually do, and then get off 3 stops earlier, walk a little bit more, think a little bit more, do a little bit more, and then after a while it's like kicking a snowball in Animal Crossing. That snowball is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then boom, so but it just takes such a long time. And that's the thing, some people, they want like results like that,
you can't get it that way.
Nope, unless you look like a Kardashian, it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh, 8-Bit, you got all those cool effects on your stream. How you do it? I need it. Like 8-Bit, like, look,
you know how much stuff was broke? You know how much stuff broke? You know how much stuff still broke right now? I was struggling to get Cena to work. I was like, come on, I know I got Cena in here. Come on, man.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, and a lot of people don't want to do it, but the outcome is marvelous. Like, you feel good about it. The product that you produce is awesome and amazing. Yep. Everybody wants it and like to know more about how you did it and stuff like that, but it's like they don't want to put the work in.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. But they think there's like some like shortcut that they could take that you didn't see, despite the fact that you did the work. And if there was a shortcut, you would have took it.
Right.
I would have did this. All right.
There is no shortcut.
Well, do it.
Exactly.
Oh man.
You know how it is. They see the final product and they like, oh, he makes it look easy. It's like he makes it look easy, but it's not easy.
It's not easy. Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, y'all had any follow-up questions or anything for Pat?
Sorry, we got old like Dr. Phil. I apologize.
Oh no.
No, we like see the Say That Again podcast. If I may speak for 8-Bit and Pinky, this is like in the South we like gumbo. It's a pot of gumbo. It got a little bit of everything in it. We got your comedy. We kind of got the sidebar conversations. We also have the life lessons. We also have the comedic aspects to it. But at the end of the day, it's something for everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's something for everybody.
Yeah, look, I'm just trying to get my comic book greenlit, so we could talk about it again.
You guys have no idea what he said before the start of the show. I will not repeat it. But when he did, poor Pinky.
Hey, look. For my mech fans, I tried to bring mech and history together, and it's not getting greenlit, but we're gonna try.
I don't know. Never say never.
Hey, man,
we not know.
I'm gonna hash out the story and the plot, get some character development going on.
Hey, Patrick, like indie games.
Hey, look. I think maybe if we could get some mole people involved. Get some mole people involved, like
Jeff Jarrett
or slugs. We can get some radiated slugs. Hey, look, if we can get Jeff as like the bard, with the guitar that turns into like a machine gun, I think we could work it out.
No. Veto.
But the funny thing is, this is a parody of probably a lot of things that gets pitched to Patrick.
Yes. I would love to know what you've been pitched. Like, what's been the craziest stuff?
You heard of the Ninja Turtles? Well, I got the moles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Moles, and instead of the Shredder, they're fighting the Blender, and instead of Master Splinter, it's an anteater that raised the moles.
I've been pitched some pretty bad things. Like I think I told you guys before the show, I had somebody that wanted to do a zombie book with me that like has no idea of like zombie lore, you know, like so they haven't watched any of the Romero flicks, they haven't like really like watched The Walking Dead, and I'm just like,
that's like a basis.
The zombies are from space.
Yeah,
hear me out. The zombies are from space. And they're not dead, like they're aliens, but they just look like zombies. And it's called Spacecraft number 69. And it's gonna be, and it's death otters. And when you get bit by the aliens, you become an otter in space.
That's actually a game that I played, the Space Otter.
Oh my god.
It's actually a good game though. It's an indie game and it's really good. Space Otter Charlie, that's what it's called. It's a good one. It's
Just
good
I
otter.
gotta check that out.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know, we can. Hey, look, it's all about the imagination. We'll find something that worked.
Right.
There's an audience for everyone. There's an audience for everyone.
Some will stick.
That's pretty much all I had, Pinky, on my notes for that. So we've kind of in the freelance portion.
Yeah, we free balling, as they say, as the kids say.
All right, pitch your ideas now, guys. Let's go chat. let's get some inspiration going.
So while we get some stuff from chat, just to recap what we talked on, we can go to PatrickHickeyJr.com to search and purchase some of your books and comic books as well, or is the comic book?
Yeah, if you go to I'll
different
put it
site.
I'll put it right here.
Just want to make sure.
Comics.com.
LegacyComics.com. Okay.
Yes. So the really cool thing about what we're doing with Legacy is like if you grew up like in the 80s and 90s and those were the comics that you grew up reading, you're gonna totally like love the stuff that we're doing. So like we have crime noir stuff, we have superhero stuff, like I already told you guys about Sarita.
Yep, Sarita.
But we also what happened during the Kickstarter was really wild. We got reached out to by the head of the Bram Stoker estate. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever read Dracula before,
yes.
But like his family was basically like, oh, we want you to do a comic book, like a Dracula comic book, and we're like, what?
Right.
And they were like, oh, we have Bram Stoker's unused notes, and we want you guys to do like an official like Dracula prequel comic. So we ended up hooking up with Steve Conjay, who's this amazing artist from Brooklyn, who's actually doing The Job #1 with me. Because after he did Dracula, I was like, yo, I need to keep him. He's amazing. He did the art. So we have the only like Dracula family approved vampire comic like out right now. You know, like they approved of our script. Like we have their seal of approval and stuff. So if you like horror, if you like Dracula, if you like vampires and stuff, like that's a killer comic. It's called Renfield Visions of Madness. And it follows like one of the main characters of the Dracula book, like before he meets Dracula and how he meets Dracula. And it's really cool. So we do a lot of really cool stuff at Legacy. So again, if you're like in your early to mid 30s and you grew up reading comics and you haven't been into comics in a while, you'll definitely find something. And like I said too, our characters come in all shapes, sizes, races, and stuff like that. Like it's like Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn's a complete like melting pot. Like everybody gets along and stuff like that. So like we wanted to really work on comics that like told real stories, and we're kind of like straying away from the dun dun dun, dun kind of like stuff like that. Like I don't. Only one of our characters has a cape. You know, like everyone else is just like, you know, they're just badass, you know.
I think that's what
Right.
captivated me to the Punisher. He was just different, and
Yeah.
like he gave people what they deserved. I was like, I like him.
Mecha Val Helsing will be in issue 37.
Val Helsing.
Mecha Val Helsing.
Not
Mecha Val Helsing. So just know it's coming. It's coming. We already talked about it. I'm just giving y'all a scoop.
You could do Mecha Macho with voiced by Pat.
Oh my god. I feel like auto-tune Macho Man.
Auto-tune Macho Man.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh yeah, we coming in with the cream of the crop.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, like look, we could go places. The mind and the madness come together. Mecha Val Helsing versus the Gulag. we get this. We can do something. But it's like ghouls. It's ghouls.
Stuff, doesn't he?
Oh, I see you say that. I see what you did there. Okay.
The ghouls. The Gulag.
Yeah, he loves. He's the mech guy, the Gundam.
Yeah.
He's the Gundam ambassador.
Yes.
Crowned by Bandai.
Yes. So yes.
Nice.
So if you ever need a mech guy, just somebody with a robotic arm, I can hook y'all up with the whole schematics. We in there.
Oh my god.
You can make the whole thing work. Cold fusion.
Pat's like, I can't.
Scarily, this is like one of the better pitches I've gotten.
Like, hey man, look, Mecha Val Helsing and Dracula, they meet up. He comes from the future. It's like Cable. He comes from the future to kill Dracula, to stop him from destroying his presence.
Like, I don't know about this.
Hey, look, we
Bridge in the back, like,
Yes.
this is why
Right
we
on,
stay
no
every
free
time.
Every time 8-bit pitches something, it's like crickets or like a ping pong ball goes back and forth.
Yeah, hey man, look, it's all right. It's all right. One day. Like, look, that's
that's just one of many.
That's the
You just gotta hit
idea
one
of
single.
settling.
You just gotta get on base once.
Hey, man, look, we good. That's why it's called the pitch. You just keep throwing. Just keep throwing.
It's true. It's
Right.
true.
Keep throwing.
No, he's right.
Don't
He's
mistake.
absolutely right.
We have Mr. Boggs in chat. He said, do Jake the Snake voice would be good in a vampire, I guess. Jake the Snake killing vampires in the comics.
Jake the Snake killing vampires would sell comics. Oh my god.
Oh, he
I'll
liked
tell
that
you guys-
idea.
Hey,
I'll tell you guys.
All right,
I'll tell
so
you
we
guys
on to
a
something.
great-
We warm. We're getting warm.
Mecha
Oh my
Jake the
God.
Snake.
I'll tell you guys a great Jake the Snake Roberts story. So I actually told him this story when I met him, and I'll tell you guys how he responded to it. But what happened was, like 16 years ago, I was interviewing for my first job in education, and the person interviewing me is like, you're kind of big, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like,
Right.
you're kind of big. So like, if a student got in your face, what would you do? And I was just infuriated because I'm just like, what, and just like matter of like a millisecond, I'm just like, my father told me a long time ago that if I ever had something important to say, I never have to raise my voice. And that's a Jake the Snake Roberts quote, And the woman was just like, oh my god, wow. And I got the job, and I'm still teaching there to this day.
Right.
So like when I met Jake the Snake Roberts, I told him, I was like, you're the reason why I've been a college professor for the past 16 years. And he's like, why? And I told him the story, and he goes, oh, so you owe me everything, don't you? And I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I owe you everything. So, but yeah, that's just Jake the Snake killing vampires.
Vampires. Hey, we're getting warm.
All right.
We have Cobalt Holt said, not gonna lie,
See?
I'm looking at the covers for these comics right now, and it reminds me of the comics I used to have as a kid.
Well, see, that's the point. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring back the really cool organic storytelling of those 80s and 90s comics. It's just like, listen, real talk, they're showing like Batman's private parts in comics now. They're talking about like the stuff that he won't do with Catwoman and stuff. That's like way too much information. We don't need that in our comic books.
Right.
We need like,
I agree.
is this a cool character? Like, what's their motivation here? Like, like we need like to get back to like what made us love these comic books so much, and like not just like this off the wall information. Like we don't need any of that stuff, you know. So it's just like our comics, they're gritty, they're real, but they're not like, I mean, some of the stuff going on now in comics is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
so like we just saw an opportunity to hit that nostalgia button and to go back to the time when we enjoyed comic books the most, you know. So, and that's not to say that like we're writing like rated G or PG-13 comics. Like our comics are for mature readers too, but they're not ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, Cobalt, you will love like what we're doing. Like The Legend of the Night Owl, that's one of our other comics. Like if you love the movie The Warriors and you love the video game The Streets of Rage, like that comic will hit you like mega hard. You know, it's like an old school like beat 'em up, but in comic book form. You know, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring back all that nostalgia, all that fun time. Like when you would buy a comic and go, yo, you know, that's like, that's what we're trying to do. And we've been pretty successful so far. So, but like we've got 2 books coming out in July. Like I told you guys about Sarita. It's Sarita's official like backstory, how she met Kandri and things like that. But then we have this awesome, and this, you know, 8-bit, this might be for you because I know you're a manga guy and anime and stuff. We have, I'm calling it an American manga. It's developed by a team from South Carolina, Josh Evans and Joshua Adams and Dan Evans. I'm sorry, and it's called Godfoe, and it's a black and white manga that's just like super badass. It's just like, what if God was like created and didn't think the way a god should, and the people had to create their own gods to fight this god, you know, like it's just some really wild like anime manga stuff going on. So like that's like coming out in July for us. So we're trying a whole bunch of different fun things over at Legacy.
All right, so the mech is gonna be in that one. All right, I'll pitch on that. I'll pitch on that.
There's definitely some sexy like machine combat going on.
Yeah, we got. Yeah. All right, cool. That's gonna be my work. That's gonna. I live in that realm. Don't worry. We gonna.
He got old Dusty Rhodes. Did you see that?
You should have just started off with that, baby. You should have started off with it. Should have started off with, hey. We got you.
They're the mechs in that, daddy.
All right, that's all you had to say. You just cool. I'm not gonna pitch for the Americans. It's all right. I'll wait for the neo-American mangas to come out. We got it. I'm gonna wait on it.
I really enjoyed though the subterranean railroad simulator that you pitched before the show started. That was very
hey man, look, that would have been look. That would have been great. That would have been great. It was on paper. It worked.
I saw the art design already.
I did. I felt the vision.
I was trying to say it without saying it, so you guys would get it. Everyone else is like, what the hell?
Don't worry, when I stream, I'll tell y'all the full story, uncut. I'll tell y'all the full story, uncut. We're not gonna do it here. You come watch it for the full story.
Yeah.
Go check out 8-bit on his channel.
I got y'all on my channel. Y'all gonna be like, what? Be like,
for the exclusive reveal.
Exclusive.
Yes. Like, what was the idea? Like, man, you know, I just said. And they'll be like, how dare you? How dare he?
Oh my
I had to pitch everything, man. I had to pitch everything. I seen it. I seen the vision.
You did.
Yeah, he
hey, man. Like, hey, look, no stone left unturned.
That's right.
Yeah, so Cobalt says,
that stuff is
I agree about the comics now. We all knew Batman and Catwoman had a thing going on, but we never cared about that. Give us the dark Batman versus Joker and comics.
Yeah, let's put the C back in DC because no one, Patrick, you know what the C stands for. Nobody else do, but you know, it's Detective Comics. So you don't have to say like Detective Comics actually. You just say DC. Yeah. But nobody does it. No, they were like, I need those DC comics. Like,
I know it annoys the hell out of me. It's
I know.
Thank you.
It's like how people say ATM machine is.
Yeah, like just the ATM is just can you go to the ATM?
There's so many video game developers that like if you're talking to them and you say SNES, they lose their marbles. So like they're like, no, it's Super Nintendo. Like don't say SNES, you know. So it's just like in comics, it's the same exact thing. Like
system.
Yeah.
When somebody says DC Comics, the person will go.
But don't like shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Just say DC.
It's funny because like you guys were talking to me about pitches before, and one of the things that I tell people, like when they pitch us, to pitch us an ashcan, which is basically that's a comic book term for a 6 to 8 page story that has like a clear beginning, middle, and end.
Mm-hmm.
Take your one shot. Take your one shot.
Yeah.
Get to the point.
Yeah. You know, we're not going to give you 24 pages. We're going to give you 8. Give us your best art, your best story and stuff. But it was like I was talking to this young guy and he was just like, what's an ashcan?
Uh-oh.
And I had to like educate him, which is fine because like I'm a professor. It's like, you know, it's part of the process. But I was just like, bro, like you got to you got to know the lingo.
You got to know.
Yeah, we got to get you up to speed, big dog.
You know, it's like I remember one time I was talking to Jim Ross on the phone. And I was interviewing him.
JR?
And JR. Mm-hmm. And,
JR.
we were having a conversation about Shinsuke Nakamura, like probably like 2 years before he got to WWE. And I was just like, this is like one of the best like pound for pound strikers like in all of wrestling. And Jim Ross is like, you know what? You're in the ball game, Patrick. You are in the ball game, which basically meant like, you know your shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like a lot of the times, a lot of people, like I'll tell people this, instead of you pitching me like right off the bat, get yourself in the bowl game.
Yeah.
Have a conversation with me about stuff that I'm interested in, stuff that you're interested in. Make me respect you based on what you know. So this way, when you do pitch, I have a base. I know like who you are. Yes. You know, and it's the same thing like with social media. Like you see people all the time, all they're doing is selling. And that's why like 8-Bit, you said in the beginning, like you like when I post retro game stuff. And I do that because it's like, if I'm just selling my book all day, then it's like, I want to have
an empty page.
Yeah. I want to have a relationship with my readers, you know, like I want them to be like, oh, what did you think of this game? Oh, how come this game isn't in the book? Oh, you know, like I want to have that. And the thing is, you can't have that if you're just selling all the time. You know, social currency is so important, like establishing relationships with somebody. Like if somebody likes you and they don't buy your stuff, that's okay. Because if they like you enough to share your stuff, retweet it, then maybe somebody that they know will buy it or whatever. It's like, you got to just keep building, you know? And it's just like so many people, so many young creators, so many young entrepreneurs, they think it's just about the sell. And it's like, it is about the sell, but it's about how you get to the sell. Because you can either make one sale by being super pushy and down people's throat, or you can just create an experience where people are comfortable and like want to invest in you because they know like what you bring, you know. So that's kind of like what I try and do.
Yeah, I totally get that, because I tell people all the time, you have to figure out a way to get people to come to you. How do you get people to come to you? How do you do that? You got to reel them in, and then once you got them, you can, you know, sell everything that you want to sell, or you know, do whatever you know you're trying to do. But you have to find a way to get people to come towards you. Come here.
Absolutely. It's like I try and explain to my students a lot of the time. Like with writing, it's like I compare it to that scene in Grease. You guys ever see that movie Grease? When John Travolta is going like that to John, he doesn't have a rope. So why does she come to him? It's because he's charismatic, you know. And she sees like what's going. Yeah, she's intrigued. She's hypnotized, and she wants to know what it's gonna feel like when she gets closer to him and starts dancing and stuff like that. Like that's what we need to do more of this. Every day, you know, instead of just like people like I try and explain to people sometimes. It's just like you may not see it this way, but just you saying, "Oh, buy my shit today" and posting a link, that's begging, you know. Like you can't beg, you know. You've got to tease. You've got to promote. You've got to, you know. You got to be out there meeting people, and that's the thing that sucks too. Like COVID really, it hurt people's ability to like go out and meet, you know. So it's just like you've got to adapt. You've got to find like a new spot every day. It's hard, you know. But I feel like we're starting to get back to like relative normal, you know. PAX. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt, but PAX was interesting.
It was.
Like, PAX is very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's just like. I couldn't even like take a sip of a drink. Like they were like on me as soon as like
hey
every time.
Macho Man son.
Put your mask on.
And they're like, oh, there's a designated eating area, and I'm just like, I'm working. Like, can I have a sip of you know?
Oh, that part.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, they was like,
You know?
what are you doing? What are you doing?
It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting back to some type of normality. You know, the one thing though,
Somewhat.
man, I have to say, it was so funny. Right before COVID, there were so many news reports. Oh, video games are no good. You know, Trump was on TV saying, "Oh, video games are causing all this, that, blah, blah, blah." 3 or 4 weeks into COVID, all the things were like, "You guys should relax, stay inside, play some video games."
Play Animal
Yes.
Crossing.
Yeah.
Yes.
right.
Yes. I'm
Yep.
like, oh,
Oh,
now y'all want us to play.
Animal Crossing, you'll
Crossing
feel
came
like
out
you're
like the-
right outside.
Yeah.
But that game came out at like the best time.
Animal
The
Crossing came out the
perfect
best
time.
time.
Nintendo
Yes.
was like, this is our
Exactly.
moment.
Very
Release
smart.
it now.
Yes. Let release the house.
It was very smart on their part to release it when
Yes.
they did.
Give it to them 24 hours early if they downloaded it. Let them know we were here.
Yep.
It was so much fun. Oh,
Free amiibo. Free amiibo. No,
Absolutely.
Nintendo will never give nothing for free. Never.
no. Oh my god, I have a super crazy Nintendo story. So like I told you, like, you know, they've like promoted my work from time to time. But in my books I actually interview the developers of the games, you know? And it's not each chapter isn't like my opinion where it's like, oh, I think that this is a great game. I give you some background on the game, and then I let the developer tell the story, how they got into the video game industry, how the game was made, what were some of the hurdles and things like that, what were the positives and negatives. So it's just like each chapter doesn't work unless I speak to somebody.
Okay.
So my whole thing is like, I would love to do a Pokemon game in one of my books. But the thing is, like, the Pokemon team is like, they don't talk to the press like that, you know, and they're definitely not going to do a book. But like, I had a
Yeah.
You talk to Miyamoto.
Yeah.
You know, so what happened was I had a good relationship with Nintendo. So the Pokemon people were like, listen, we're going to give you this PDF that has like 38 pages of like every known fact about Pokemon. You could write your Pokemon chapter with that. And I was just like, if I was anybody else, I probably could. But I said, no, I have to speak to somebody, you know? And I obviously didn't write the Pokemon chapter, which hurts because like my Pokemon Blue, the timer stopped at 999 hours and 59 minutes, you know?
Like
so
you
just
played
like,
it.
Yeah.
you know, like I love that series, you know? But it's just a testament to like the 200 other games that are in my 7 other books. Like I've spoken to like the developers of those games. Like it's more about the people that made the games than like my opinions of those games. So I feel like, oh, Nintendo, you could have just given me like one person on the game. We could have made magic happen, you know, but like that's not what they do, you know? So, but like, I am lucky that like over the years, so like in the minds behind the shooter games, I have Metroid Prime in there. And it's because Metroid Prime was developed by Retro Studios. And it was developed by a United States team. And I ended up getting some great quotes from one of the level designers that he was like one of the guys that said like, Samus needs to turn into a bowl like really quick in the game, and like he was the guy that did that. So like I got some great quotes from him and stuff, but it was like, to get as many Rockstar games in my books has been super important to me. To get the Nintendo games that I have gotten in has been super important to me. But like the EA relationships, the Atari relationships, like, and a lot of the indie people, man, like, oh, I've gotten so many great stories from people that some of them only made 1 or 2 games, you know, and they didn't make any money, you know, but they made great games that people still play to this day. Or like indie games, like I love West of Loathing. I don't know if you guys have ever played that before. West of Loathing, it's basically like a stick figure Western Japanese RPG. So it's like a cowboy based stick, it looks like stick figures. It's one of the most beautifully written games I've ever played. Like you will literally laugh your ass off when you play the game. So like if you're walking in a church, the main character will walk up and down the aisles of the church and go pew 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 because he's walking by pews in the church.
That's good.
The Catholic in me cried. Like,
Right.
that's what I was like.
But like so funny, you know? So like to hear how these guys basically created this game from scratch, and now it's on Nintendo Switch, it's on PS4, it's on all of these places and stuff. It's been so much fun to go like on this journey. And then like I told you guys again, to like go from writing all of these books to doing voiceover and doing writing. It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
Which
Now-
book has the Superman 64?
Look at it.
Oh my god. So this is the thing. So like every book has at least 30 games in it. The Genesis book that's coming out in a couple weeks has 43, and the minds behind Sony PlayStation games that's coming out like this holiday season, that's gonna have 43 games in it too. But even though I have like 43 games in one book, I probably pitched around 200, 300 developers. So it's just like so many of them either don't answer me, or they say no, or they don't give like answers that are great. So like I love Devil Dice on PlayStation 1. It's a really fun game, but the answers weren't great, so I wasn't going to just put it in the book. You know, so it's just like I try and have like a standard, but like I totally wanted to have Superman 64 in one of my books. And like I read a bunch of interviews, and the guy, one of the main creators of the game, just seemed like so sour. And I don't want anyone to like use my books as like a place where they can just like talk shit. You know,
this is
like,
not a venting session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want a venting session. Like I want you to like really look like super deep into like your creative process. So like one of the fun stories is the lead developer of Aladdin on the Sega Genesis, David Perry. He slept in his car for like most of the development cycle. He like didn't go home. But the thing is, he's 6'8". So like, yeah. So imagine if you're like 6'8" and sleeping in like the front seat of your car, you know. And then like one of the producers on Def Jam Vendetta was actually like threatened to be attacked by like 2 of DMX's dogs, you know. So like he went to DMX's house and was like, listen, we'd love to put you in this game that's coming out. And DMX was like, listen, this is what I'm gonna do. If you don't flinch, if you let my dogs come at you and you can hold your own, then I'll put you in the game, and I'll let you put me in the game. And the producer's like, oh man. And it was basically like a Mr. Burns like release the hounds like situation.
Yeah.
You know, there's all sorts of, every chapter there's a crazy story like that where you're just like, wait, what?
That's crazy. And he didn't flinch.
Yeah, because he in there, right?
He got in the game.
Yep.
He's like,
Release the house.
right.
So that's basically like what I try and do. Like every chapter, it's funny because I think I told this story the last podcast that I was on, but like I saw somebody one time reading one of my books on the train, and it was just so wild because they're sitting like across from me.
Oh, that's
and
dope.
it was insane. And they're reading and they're just going like this. And I'm like, they either don't like the book, or they're just like, yo. So then I just went, I went over to them and I'm like, you like that book? And they're like, yo, it's crazy. And I was like, okay. And I just walked away. So they were kind of like, okay, that guy's like mega weird. Like I didn't announce myself or anything like that. Like I just wanted to watch them continue reading until I got off the train, you know? But it's like, that's what I want people to do. I want people to like read each chapter and just be like, damn, man, he just got that guy to say that. Yeah. Or that guy just said that. So it's really fun, but it's like real. It's down to earth because some of the stories are hard, you know, like, I talked to like the Medal of Honor team, and they were just basically like their wives like wrote a letter to EA saying, please give us our husbands back. Yeah. Like these guys are working like way too hard. You know, let us spend some more time with our family. You know, like we understand that you guys have a business, but oh my God, you know.
They're contracts. They're contract workers.
Yep. Like or of guys like, you know, sleeping under their desks and stuff like that, all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's just like there's so many, it just aggravates me sometimes because like I'll be in like a GameStop and somebody will be like, oh, this game sucks, and I'll go, you know, the guy that made this game made this and this, and they'll go, how do you know that? And I'm just like, because if you love video games, you've got to like have some type of respect for the people that made them. You have to try and know. It's like when people go to me, I love Michael Jackson, I'll go, well, do you love Quincy Jones? And they'll go, who? And I'm like, you know?
Yeah, I would just have to end the conversation after that and just walk away. Like, you
know, like what, like the guy that like helped him like become, you know, Michael Jackson, the guy that like wrote and produced a lot of the music. Like, are you crazy? You know? So it's just like, I feel like people that love video games like that will love my books, but then like people that don't get that, like the development team from like Crash Bandicoot 1 is different from Crash Bandicoot 2 and Crash Bandicoot 3. Like it's not the same. Those people may have like a harder time like grasping some of the concepts, but I feel like once they get into it, then they'll be like, yo, this is a lot deeper and crazier than I thought it was. So yeah.
Was the sleeping under the desk reference to the Halo team, or
that Halo 2? So Halo 2 is in the minds behind the shooter. Is it Halo 2 or Halo 3? No, it's Halo 3. Halo 3 is in the minds behind the shooter games. Those guys worked incredibly hard, and the thing is, the things that you see in Halo 3 are like the culmination of the things that they couldn't do in Halo 2 and Halo 1.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, when you think of Halo 3, you think of it being like a launch title for the 360, but it wasn't. It came out much later, and they spent so much time trying to make that game like perfect. And like the story is super deep. It's got so much like multiplayer stuff. Like those guys like broke their back. So like
they played around, like they literally was like, play this, and then they go up to like right before they had to send it off to get published. It was like down to the wire for the Halo team.
Yep. And it was like make or break for them. It was like that was like one of the most important games that console ever produced. So I had the honor of talking to like the lead narrative director on that game, and he gave me great stuff. So, that's like kind of like what I try and do. Just try and show people that it's more than just like fun games. Like it's people's livelihood. Like video games are the highest grossing form of pop culture in the entire world. And your mom and dad will still be like, "Oh, you play those video games, bro?" And it's just like it's bigger than everything else. Like, and the people that made like all of these games, like on the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, they all had advanced degrees in math, in some of them in rocket propulsion, in like these people could like build car engines with their bare hands. So like just to put into perspective, an Atari 2600 game is only 4K memory. It's tiny, 4 kilobytes. That would consist of assembly language, coding.
Okay.
Most of those guys would memorize the entire code of their entire game. They don't make people like that anymore.
Rackets.
No, they don't.
Everything is templates or pre-written or
Yep.
They're not writing from blank canvases like that.
No.
Yep. So it's like there's one story in so I interviewed David Crane, and he created Pitfall. It's like one of the greatest games of all time. And he was having a conversation with Gary Kitchen, who did the port of Donkey Kong on the Atari 2600, which is an awesome port. But he was like, man, he goes, you ever think to yourself, like, we're like one of like maybe like 50 people and this is like 1982, like right before the crash. He's like, yo, there's only like 50 people in the whole world that can do what we do. And he was like, yeah, man, yeah, that's it. It's us, and that's the thing too. A lot of people, they think of like video games being a very Japanese thing. But like, I mean, you look at the start of the video game industry and Atari and stuff like that, it was a very much American thing. The Japanese came in later, and they like, the Japanese culture is very synonymous with taking the best from other countries and improving it and stuff like that. And so they really did that like with the video game industry. But I mean, Atari started off, today's Atari's 50th anniversary. Atari turned 50 today. So, but like those are the things that I like to talk about in my books too, how like a lot of the people that created some of the greatest video games of all time are older men and women that if you saw them in like Starbucks now, you'd be like, who is this person? They're nobody. So it's crazy. So I just like to put a light on those people.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
they make the life a little easier.
And that is true, because I can be part of that crowd where if I play a game, I'm like, man, this game trash. It's like that is kind of harsh.
That's why I always try to find the light. There's only one game that y'all know I would be like, nah, no. And that's Elden Ring. That's the only game. But every other game, I will find light. I will play it. I'll be like, you know what? I didn't enjoy it as a whole, but this is what I really enjoyed out of it. Yeah. But that is as far as like, would you recommend this to? Like, I recommend it to people that likes X, Y, and Z. If you like A, B, and C, don't get this game. But if you like this, go right ahead.
Oh, just certain things like you go through a room full of enemies, and then you go 5 room downs. You go through dialogue, and then you go
Right.
No, what hit me? What happened? So I was like, man, the hell with this game.
Toss it out the window like a
After
frisbee.
a while, yeah. Pinky and them know what game I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just this is good to be had that point reiterated that there are people that put their livelihood on the line for a lot of these games. It's more than just the Square Enixes of the world and all of these big. There's a lot of other small publishing companies, a lot of small developers that that put a lot on the line to like, all right, this has to work.
Scott Coffin from Five Nights at Freddy's. That man was working at like Dollar General.
That's a good one.
Something like that, yeah.
That's a
He
good
was
one.
working at
Five Nights
Dollar
at
General
Freddy's.
or like Family Dollar and was like, I quit. I'm gonna work on this game and make it work.
That's a good one. Five Nights at
My whole
Freddy's.
thing is too, like, if we're having a conversation about a game and Pinky will just be like, "This game sucks," that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like I'm about like, let's have as long a conversation. Like, what didn't you like? Let's talk about it.
What did you-
Could we fix that? Or like how like before the show started and 8-Bit was just joking around throwing out all these like funny ideas and stuff like that. Like, but that was a fun conversation. Like one of us could have been like, "Yo, bro, just stop it," and then that's the end of the conversation. Why do we want to end the conversation?
Right.
Like some of my favorite people to speak to online, I never say goodnight to them. I never say goodbye to them. Because I'm gonna go to sleep, but then the conversation is gonna continue the next day.
Exactly.
So that's like that's the kind of discourse we should have about like the things that we like. Whether it be video games, music, comic books, movies, and stuff. Instead of being like, "Nah, that sucks." Like, well, why? Most people don't like to do that, but
Nope.
that's the way you learn the most. And that's what I'm about. Like I want to learn as much about things as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Cobalt Hawk says a lot of times though, and appreciate you engaging with the stream, Cobalt. A lot of times though, when someone says something like a game is trash, it's not the dev team's fault. A lot of times it comes to upper management pushing up dates so things weren't properly implemented and tested.
There's a few situations in a couple of the chapters of my book where like they were like, listen, the game played like this, and then the upper management was like, no, it needs to play faster, and we just changed 1 or 2 variables, and all of a sudden game plays completely different. So like one game immediately that comes to mind is NHL 95. NHL 94 is like arguably considered like the greatest hockey game of all time. NHL 95 has a full season mode, which the other games didn't, and has a lot more animations, so it looks better.
Right.
And EA was just like, it needs to play different than NHL 94. And the dev team was like, yo, we just added a season mode and we just added all these animations. It's better. Just leave it. And they're like, no, it can't play exactly like NHL 94. So they just upped the speed like a little bit, and it's like, it's one of the most polarizing games of all time. People either love it or they hate it just because one variable was changed.
Yeah, it messed up
Crazy.
the whole thing.
Yep.
It's the worst game ever.
But it's like, I love telling stories like that. Yep. Because it's so easy and a lot of the time people that like dog stuff, they've never even played it. It's like one of the reasons why.
Yep.
If you go on ReviewFix, if you read the reviews on ReviewFix, we don't rate anything with a number. Like if you want to find out what we thought, you have to read the whole article, because like most of the time, if you see a number like on IGN, people will just scroll down, get the number, and that's it. And
keep going.
They'll go, oh,
that is very fair.
Did you play this? Oh, nah, man. IGN said it sucked. They gave it a 5. Blah blah blah. You didn't even play it.
I ain't gonna waste my money. The number was low.
Yep.
Like just because this one person that played something who grew up or may have not even got past the first 2 levels, like, did you get out of the tutorial stage? No. Well, the tutorial does suck. It's teaching you how to play it. So it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that game? It's like a cutesy little like side-scrolling shooter. It's like, oh, Cuphead, perfect example. There was a writer that did a review of Cuphead, and what happened was he couldn't get past like the second or the third level, and he panned it. and he gave it a really long,
Bombed it, huh?
and
That's
low review.
crazy.
Unplayable game.
Like no,
You're
get
like,
good.
no, you. Those are one of those games where it's like, Cuphead is enjoyable,
Yeah,
but it is difficult.
it is difficult.
But
But I
it is
like it.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Also,
So then
the hand drawn aspect of Cuphead is like it. This
The
is
art,
why it
you have
took
to
so long.
respect it.
Yes,
You
that
have to
art
respect it.
is bomb.
I was just proud
Yeah.
of the developer because the developer really like stepped up and was like, "Listen, it's because you can't play."
Mhm.
Yeah.
You just
I
said that
remember
right.
that
You just ain't
that
playing.
went viral.
It went viral and it was a big thing.
That
You know,
went
so
viral.
it's just like
Mhm.
that's how I tell people all the time. It's like there are certain games out there like Demon Souls. Love those games, but man, the dying constantly. After a while, I'm just like, yeah, I'm done.
Thank you.
Like I want to advance, but they're beautifully done games.
Like I said, I give the story 9 out of 10 for story. My problem is the mechanics of dodging is weird, where it's like you dodge too early or you dodge too. It's like, but I was not getting attacked when I pushed the dodge button. It shouldn't register after from where I was. It should register from where I'm at now. Oh no, it was yeah, you dodged late. Like
like, what do you mean? What
like,
do
I don't
you
get
mean?
that. And that's where I went. This mechanic is trash. I don't like it. Give me, if an attack is coming and I roll away, I don't get hit. I shouldn't be in the middle of the room. Then my character goes, they're like, no, I was not getting hit. I was dodging.
I would love to see you in a like what's that? Elden
Ring?
The one that you were just playing?
Yeah, Elden Ring.
And you play that game and that happens, like you just defeated the boss or whatever, and all of a sudden you die and you have to, it says game over. I would love to see that. That would be so
happened to me in
wild.
Cuphead, actually.
Really?
I killed the boss. I killed one of the bosses, but me and the boss died at the same time, and it was like you died, and I'm like, but I'm still here. It's like you died.
Like, nah, you gone.
Like, sorry.
Tamara brought up before in the comments that she likes Cuphead because it reminds her of Felix the Cat. Tamara, I hope you know that there's a Felix the Cat game on NES, and it's freaking awesome. I love it.
Felix the Cat.
If you like Felix the Cat, look up the ROM. You should totally play it. And if you could find a physical version of it, it's super expensive, but it's such a fun game on Nintendo.
So you have the big eyes.
Love Felix the Cat. That was my homeboy when I was a kid.
Mario, you might want to check that box in the front room. I got a bunch of old NES games in there. You never know what you're gonna find in that thing.
If you got Felix the Cat, you got some money right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cobalt said reviews with scores, regardless of what someone says, are always going to have some kind of personal opinion involved.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, I do say on Real Ones Gaming Podcast, when I do give any kind of critique of games I've played, I don't just blindly just say it's game's trash.
Absolutely.
But falling through the floor and not being able to play a game on the loading screen, certain things like that, it's like,
oh yeah. You can't avoid. You have
somebody swiped their card for $60 and then they can't even get into the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
But yeah, definitely appreciate that. But we do know it's 11 o'clock your time. I'm gonna be respectful of your time, Pat. Definitely appreciate you coming and hanging out with us.
Yes.
This evening. One last time, man. Where can we find you? Where can we buy your books and different things like that? And where can we stay up to date with what's going on in the world of Pat?
I would say the best place to stay in contact with me is on Instagram. It's Patrick Hickey Jr. One word. I am super receptive. I answer everyone that messages me. I'm on Twitter as well as at ReviewFixPat. I go on Twitter a couple of times a day. Facebook, Patrick Hickey Jr. To buy the books, you can go to patrickhickeyjr.com /books. They're all right there. Anyone that buys a book directly from my website, I sign them, I personalize them, I put all interesting stuff in there. So like if you guys are from Georgia, I'm gonna throw in some Atlanta Braves cards from like the late '80s or something like that, or like the Dominique Wilkins card or something like that.
That's pretty cool.
something cool to like connect us, you know. But so those are the books, and then the comic books. If you go to Legacy Comics, COMIX, .com, we have a shop there. We have T-shirts, we have comic books, we have all sorts of cool stuff there. Stay up to date on the comic book stuff. We got a lot of crazy stuff. You might even see one day a video game based off of one of these comic books. Just saying. So
talk my language.
Mecha Hellsing coming to Genesis.
Absolutely. So you're so funny. Oh my god. And then like I told you guys, BPM Boy just came out on the Atari VCS. WrestleQuest should be coming later this year. World Championship Boxing Manager later this year. So lots of fun stuff for me. I'm Googleable. Google my name. All of my stuff comes up.
And that's a fact.
It
is a fact. Just Google them.
I look forward to, hanging out with you guys some more in the future, and then everyone else just hit me up. I'm super receptive and love to talk about this stuff. So
and not you. Patrick Hickey, the doctor, not the MD one, just the regular.
Yeah,
there's two.
The voice actor, the voice actor, editor, professor, all of the above. The other one, that one.
Yes.
All right, Pink, you can take it away.
Well, all right, friends. Thank you so much for hanging with us for another episode 4. I'm so happy I'm so happy they just coming out these episodes and stuff. When the train is rolling, I get so excited. But yes, for another episode of Say That Again podcast. This will be uploaded to YouTube later on this week. So if you miss it, of course, you can always watch the VOD or wait till YouTube. Please do both because we like the views. But yes, thank you again to my co-host ZiggyTheBeast and 8-Bit of Fun. I appreciate y'all as always. Thank you so much, Patrick, for being here.
No, seriously, Patrick, thank you so much, man.
Yes.
That was a pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting you guys at PAX.
To us, seriously.
Absolutely.
Yes,
you guys are awesome.
I know he was like, I'll never hear from them after PAX.
No. I knew.
Blow you up.
Unfortunately, Pat, you're stuck with us.
Yes.
Fine. That is absolutely fine. Do not worry.
Okay, so
I followed you on Instagram. I told you. Oh my god, you told me. You guys are terrible. 8-Bit is a bad influence.
You are correct.
All right, y'all. We are out of here. Thank you again, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Make sure you drink your water before you go to bed, and we will see y'all later.
No. People be peeing in the bed and stuff.
No, they need to drink their water. Look at you.
Don't drink no water before you go to bed. Don't listen to Pinky.
I don't sleep.
Their wife or girlfriend wake up like.
Right. What's that? Ammonia?
What a fool believes.
Why's the bed wet? Pinky told me to drink water before I go to bed.
Right.
I drank a full 30 ounces.
Right.
All right, y'all.
Just chugging it. All right, y'all. We out. Bye, y'all.